Movies are amazing. Some of them will leave you breathless, while others will leave you in tears. I've seen a lot of movies in my life and they've been great. I've also seen some movies that were terrible, but I respect them because people put time and effort into making something. But when a movie is so good it sticks with you, whether it be you're in a situation like the character was, or you ask yourself, what would that character from that movie do? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing 5 iconic movie scenes that have stuck with people and are really hard to forget. Let's do it. By the way guys, forgot to mention this, obviously a spoiler warning for every movie on this list. If you haven't seen them, please go check them out. They're really good. Okay, back to the video. The first iconic scene that we're going to take a look at is from the amazing movie Interstellar. Specifically, the scene we're taking a look at is when the main character Cooper returns to his ship with Brand, another character. The both of them spending only an hour on a planet, but in reality, they were both away for 23 years. Coming back to the ship, they reunite with one of their crewmates, Romley, who was waiting and waiting for them, but eventually, he just thought they were never going to return. But what the heartbreaking part in this scene is when Cooper checks his messages. Being away for 23 years, he starts from the beginning, seeing his son talk about his life and normal things like him meeting a girl and eventually having a kid with her. And the facial expressions on Cooper are just so powerful, you can see his pain and the helplessness he feels, seeing his family go through pain and experiencing life without him, and not being able to be there to comfort them. Eventually, his son stops sending him messages because he has heard no response, and it's been 23 years, so he thinks his dad either died or that he's never coming back. To top off this scene, Cooper watches a message from his daughter Murph. Now this one is especially unforgettable because in this message she tells him that her birthday passed and she is the exact same age that her father was when he left, 40 years old. The camera cuts to Cooper who is crying, and Matthew McConaughey, he does a really good job. He's a great actor. You can see the tears coming down his cheek and him just feeling miserable about being away from his family for so long and not being able to talk to them. Now I won't spoil the movie's ending if you haven't seen it, but it's a really good movie. I highly recommend it. The reason why this scene is unforgettable is because it's a scary concept. Imagine you're at the grocery store for an hour and everything feels normal, and then you leave only to find out it's been 23 years and you're the exact same age but everyone around you is 23 years older. I would be terrified, losing all that time with my friends and my family. And this scene was also just very emotional, really well done with the music and everything was just perfect. Moving on to another iconic movie, it's Avengers Endgame. I think you know what scene is unforgettable and iconic in this movie. It's the I Am Iron Man scene. This scene was crazy. It was amazing. More than 10 years of movies led up to this moment. Everything we've seen was for this. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame or you're not a fan of the MCU, please let me explain why this was such a big deal. This movie was released a year after Avengers Infinity War, and in that movie, the battle was lost. The Avengers lost to the Mad Titan Thanos. Everybody was defeated, even the audience. And at that moment, when Thanos sat down and looked at the sunset on the grateful universe, seeing his facial expression of accomplishment and content, and all of a sudden the screen cutting to black, that was the ultimate cliffhanger. Cut to a year later, and the ending of Endgame when Doctor Strange looks at Tony and holds up one finger, calling back to Infinity War when Doctor Strange told Tony that there's only one reality where they win. Iron Man, knowing what he meant by this, runs up to Thanos, grabbing his arm with the Infinity Gauntlet on it. Thanos pushes him away, knocking him back. Just when it looks like Thanos is about to end the entire universe, he says, "I am inevitable." And he snaps his fingers, and nothing happens. He does it again, and nothing. We cut to Iron Man, who has all 6 Infinity Stones, having the power of the universe in his hands, and he says, "I am Iron Man." He then snaps his fingers, dusting Thanos and his entire army. What's memorable is this is a callback to the very first Iron Man movie, where Tony Stark says the exact same thing to the rest of the world. This scene also marked the end of Iron Man in the MCU. Following these events, he dies. And all the characters and heroes we met attend his funeral, paying respect to the main guy in the MCU. It will never be the same without him. Sticking with the superhero theme here, and the only animated movie on this list, we have SpiderMan Into the Spider-Verse, Leap of Faith scene, one of the best animated movies of the modern day, and a really well done scene. It gives an audience a sort of motivation and letting them know that it takes a leap of faith to know what you're truly capable of doing, and really, all it takes is a leap of faith. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. It has everything: comedy, action, likable characters, beautiful animation, and it's just a feel-good movie. This scene comes at the end of the movie where the main character Miles needs to find that faith in him and confidence of becoming Spider-Man, which are some pretty big shoes to fill if you're a kid. Everything from this scene is golden. The music slowly starting, Miles getting his suit and making it his own, and then the big part, him sitting on top of a really tall building, looking down with determination and finally taking that leap of faith. This scene especially goes hard because early on in the movie, he tried doing this and failed, but now that he's gained experience and has his friends that he needs to help out, he finally finds it in himself to become the Spider-Man his New York City needs. This scene will always be iconic. Like I mentioned earlier, it gives the audience inspiration, like me for example. When I saw this movie in theaters and saw this scene, it blew my mind, and it gave me a sort of confidence that I can do anything. It's a really cool thing when a movie inspires you. Really well done. I can't wait for the second one. Okay, now we took a break from the sad scenes, but let's go back to them. The next one we have here is the ending to La La Land. Now, if you haven't seen La La Land, I highly recommend it. If you're not into musicals, don't worry, I wasn't either, and I'm still not really into them. But La La Land does a good job of not making the whole movie rely on the singing bits. Anyway, the scene in particular that we're looking at is the ending of the movie. But leading up to this, Mia and Sebastian, the main characters, say a farewell to each other and go their separate ways to follow their dreams. For Mia, she goes to Paris to star in this movie that could potentially lead to bigger roles, and she could finally achieve her dream of becoming a famous actress. For Sebastian, though, his route was a little more disheartening, because to achieve his goals and dreams, he joins a band that plays modern-day jazz. Sebastian does not enjoy what he's doing, but it does pay well, and it can open the jazz club he wants to open someday. Anyway, the couple breaks up and a year goes by. Mia became a very successful big-time actress, and Sebastian also ended up opening his nightclub. Mia comes back to Los Angeles and goes to his nightclub with her husband. She starts to recognize some things, and the title of the nightclubs is Seb's, which was mentioned by her earlier in the movie. But the saddest part is when Sebastian comes out to perform, and he sees her in the crowd, both shocked because it's been a while. Sebastian starts to perform, and while he's doing so, the camera focuses on Mia, who imagines a life with Sebastian. Everything from having a home together and having kids. She starts to imagine what could have been if they went through the challenges life threw at them. What if instead going through separate ways they stayed together and made things work? Would she have been happier? Would he have been happier? I think we all know the answer to that question. Sebastian finishes performing and Mia gets up to leave, but before leaving, they both look at each other knowing that this is the last time they will ever see each other. Sebastian gives one final nod and Mia smiles, and the movie ends. This scene is rough, a clear example of what could have been. The final scene we have for this video is from one of the greatest trilogies of anything, really. It's the Batman sacrifice scene from The Dark Knight Rises. This scene was really well done. It was an amazing send-off for Christian Bale's Batman and Christopher Nolan's 3 movie masterpieces. It was a goodbye to the fans by giving us a well-whole ending. If you haven't seen Dark Knight Rises or any of these, please go watch them. They're awesome. Anyway, onto the scene. With only minutes left on a very powerful bomb that could wipe out the city of Gotham, Batman must pilot it out of the city and over the water, but by doing so, he must sacrifice himself when the bomb goes off. But before he takes off, Jim Gordon tells Batman that the city should know the hero that saved the city. Batman then goes on to say, a hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring like putting a coat around a young boy's shoulder and letting him know that the world hadn't ended. Jim then realizes that all this time that Batman was Bruce Wayne. Batman then takes off with the bomb, flying it over the city in a hurry. The music starts to kick in. Batman flies his ship over the bridge where the kids on the bus are, and John Blake, who's later revealed to be Robin. Batman flies over them, and over the water, we get a close-up of Batman, his face coming to peace with what the city thinks is his death. But come on, you know Batman wouldn't go out that easy. He comes to peace with the fact that the city will no longer need him anymore. Later on, we see that Bruce Wayne is still alive and healthy, as seen by Alfred. He looks happy and content having lunch with Selina, aka Catwoman. I mean, I would be happy too. These were scenes from movies that have stuck with me for years. All of them are available in the description down below, along with some of my other videos. If you have any you would like to share, please leave them down in the comments below. Also, thank you for the massive support I've been getting. It really does mean a lot. Thank you. Please consider liking this video and subscribing. Also, please check out some of my other videos. I would greatly appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.